Welcome to Health News and Views, a podcast dedicated to bringing some clarity to the health disparities in the Black and Brown communities. If you believe there's a connection between food, sickness, and health, then you're in the right place. Let's begin the process of unraveling the truth. And now, your host, Lynn Pete.
Well, greetings and welcome back to another episode of Health News and Views, Food, the Final Frontier. Hi, I'm your host, Lynn Pete. And in this episode, we're going to be taking a look at a subject that is critical to our health, and that's bending back the years. Is that possible? Well, in the Black and Brown communities with high blood pressure running rampant, we're hoping that there is longevity here. According to the American Heart Association and the World Health Organization, it says that Black people in particular, men and women, we either have or will develop hypertension, and we usually get it early on in life, as early as in our 20s for some people. That's concerning to me, and it should be concerning to you too. I was reading an article about systolic blood pressure. Now, if you've ever had your blood pressure taken before, you know that's the top number. And in this article, the author stated that if your systolic, that's the top number, is 140 or more consistently, chances are your arteries are already stiff. And the medical term for arterial stiffening or hardening is called arterial sclerosis. That's hardening. Now, there's also another term called atherosclerosis, which means that there's a lot of plaque buildup in our artery. If your number tops off somewhere consistently with 140 or better, you may be in risk for some other health problems. But before we go on, the subject matter provided in this podcast or any of our published documents is for informational purposes only. Food, the Final Frontier, and our partner, Health News and Views. We do not attempt to treat, diagnose, or cure any disease or condition. Always check with your healthcare provider before making any lifestyle, dietary, or prescription drug changes. So let's go with I want to cover that definition again to make sure we're all clear on that. Arteriosclerosis happens when the blood vessels that carry oxygen and nutrients from the heart to the rest of the body, that pipeline becomes thick and stiff. Or atherosclerosis, you'll hear arteriosclerosis, then atherosclerosis. That is a disease that when your arteries are characterized by deposits of plaque and fatty material on the walls of the artery. Family, let's talk about this because I don't think it gets enough attention. The flexibility of your blood vessels, yes, your arteries can be stiff, and no, that's not a common. Today we're going to break down the vascular stiffness, how it sneaks up on us through food and lifestyle and even our age. But most importantly, what can we do to restore the body's natural flow without leaning so hard on prescription drugs? In many of our Black and Brown families, more than half of us are carrying extra weight. Me too. We've inherited recipes and food traditions have been carried on from one generation to the next. That's our fried chicken and sweet tea and salt-heavy seasoning. Not all of us, but some. And it's a taste that we love. And that taste is love. But sometimes that act of love can be like a slow poisoning. The good news, we can honor our culture and still protect our health. But what is vascular stiffness? What is this hardening of the arteries? What is this plaque buildup they're talking about? Well, it's probably easier if you think of your arteries like a garden hose. Flexible, able to handle water, pressure, and then relax. And you know what happens if you get a kink in the line? You have to go back and straighten out the hose. And those kinks in the line for us could possibly be a heart attack or a stroke. We can fix it. What has happened that over time, poor diet and lack of exercise and high blood pressure and even aging can turn those hoses into old brittle ones that can't bend without cracking or have that kink in the line. When the arteries stiffen, the systolic blood pressure goes up. That's the top number again. And the heart has to push harder. And you're at risk now for stroke, heart attack, or even kidney disease. I know a young woman, well, she's not so young now, but she was 62 years old when I met her, and she was always told that high blood pressure runs in the family. And her systolic pressure was hovering around 150 all the time. She thought, well, it's my age. But after learning about stiff arteries, she realized age wasn't the whole story. Choices were. First, let's figure out why and how. How did we get here? Well, diet, lifestyle, and age, of course, feed the problem. But what is it? It's our diet. It's our lack of physical activity. It's our age. Let's talk about diet. High salt and processed foods, fluid retention, that equals high blood pressure, making it harder for the blood to go through the arteries. Fried foods and trans fats inflame vessel walls and break down elastin. In other words, it's the fried chicken and the fries that go with it. It's the French fries that actually help the vessel walls to break down the elastin or the collagen in our bodies. Sugary drinks, refined carbs, and here we go again, right? They spike our blood sugar, damage the vessel lining, and they speed up the stiffness. Too few fruits and veggies. If your food looks like my nephew's food, which I always tell him his food is beige because there's no vegetables in it, there's no color, and the food that he eats most of the time doesn't require a fork or a knife. Still, that's too few veggies and too few fruits. There's less potassium, magnesium, and antioxidants to protect the vessels. That's why we have to eat the fruits and veggies. The nutrients that we need to stay healthy are in the fruits and vegetables, and not in the pizza and the fries and the chicken nuggets and the chicken tenders. That's not where you're going to get your nutrients. You have to have fruits and veggies in your life. Sorry, not sorry. Lack of physical activity? Sitting all day weakens the circulation, even for those who have jobs that require that they sit in front of the computer. Get up every hour, stretch, and do some exercises. You can do it and still get your job done. But sitting all day actually weakens our circulation. It lowers the nitric oxide. That's a gas that actually relaxes the arteries. And it builds belly fat. The number one driver of vessel aging is sitting. Oh, yes, of course, the other one is age. But even healthy people see some stiffening with age. But active, healthy eaters often have arteries that are 10 to 20 years younger than their real age. In other words, you can be 50 years old and have arteries that are actually 30 or 40 years old. So yes, age does play a part, but it's our choices that decide how fast or slow that clock ticks. Well, can you do a natural reset? Absolutely. Eat to soften your arteries. Double down on your veggies. Aim for 2 to 3 cups a day. Greens, peppers, sweet potatoes, okra. Flavor with herbs and spices instead of salt. Try garlic powder, not salt. Try garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, smoked and sweet, cayenne pepper. By the way, cayenne pepper helps to open up and dilate our arteries. And using thyme and rosemary, different types of herbs. And then swap those seed oils like canola and corn and vegetable and go with oils like olive and avocado instead of the seed oil. Cut the sweet drinks. Replace soda and juice with water and lemon or cucumber or berries. You don't have to have a soda with a meal. By the way, carbonation during your eating slows down the actual digestion. So if you're drinking a soda along with your meal, no. Put that soda down. Move to improve. Brisk walking and dancing or cycling. 30 minutes a day. Is that too much to ask? In between and throughout the day, you can stand up and do what they call high-intensity interval training, which means that you run in place and your arms are moving and your legs are going just like you're running somewhere. But what it does is it actually provides some circulation for your blood. So can you get in 30 minutes a day? I think you can, in between those hours that you're working, and then maybe going for a brisk walk after work. Add body weight or resistance exercises twice a week. Involve the family. Turn it into a tradition, just like a Sunday dinner. Have the kids get up and walk with you too, because they're probably not getting enough exercise either. Here's one that I honestly, it's not that tough to do. I'm working on it myself. Losing about 5 to 10% of your current body weight, even if you're still above your ideal weight, can reduce your systolic blood pressure by 5 to 20 points. Just by losing 5 to 10%. 5% of that body weight would be ideal. 10 is even better. Lower pulse wave velocity. That means if we lower that pulse wave velocity, we get more flexible arteries. Improve cholesterol and improve blood sugar. And even 2 to 3 inches off the waist. Younger vascular age. Now, by saying that everybody's waistline should be, women's waistline should be 35, yep, that's what the study says. And men's waistline, yep, they said men should have a waistline of about 40. Now, we probably know that's probably more dreaming than anything. But try to get close to the numbers. Can we manage stress in our sleep? That also has a critical contribution to our high systolic numbers. Chronic stress and poor sleep raise cortisol, which stores belly fat and raises blood pressure. And try maybe 5 minutes of deep breathing or prayer each morning. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I'm still aiming. I'm getting a little better. I'm a little bit better than I was even a couple of months ago. Remember that person I talked about, Gloria? She cut back on her fried foods to once a week and started walking with her niece after dinner and swapped soda for water. And in 6 months, she lost 15 pounds, about only 8% of her body weight. But it made the difference. Her blood pressure dropped from 150 over 90 to 128 over 78. Even her doctor had to cut her medication in half, and he was so surprised. So, one more story. I have one more to tell you. This guy, his name is Charles, and he loved sweet tea and late night snacks. Didn't want to give it up. His cultural favorites, but agreed to bake more and fry less, and then add beans and collards and peppers to half of the meals. And he started dancing twice a week. He lost 4 inches off his waist, and in 4 months his arteries were flexible, blood pressure's down, and energy is up. All right, so why don't we just take the pill and get over with ourselves, okay? Well, remember I always tell you, there's a pill for your ill, and sometimes they're necessary, but they don't rebuild the artery walls. They only manage your symptoms, not the root cause. Your lifestyle changes, on the other hand, can work with your medication or sometimes replace it, heal multiple systems at once. So in closing, family, your vascular stiffness or hardening of your arteries is not a life sentence. You can make your arteries younger, again, your heart lighter and your future brighter, and you can start by the very next bite, the very next step, and the very next choice. So this week, just pick one thing. Swap that sweet tea for some water. Maybe add some extra serving of greens, and maybe take a walk after dinner, maybe a 10-minute walk. Also helps with Alzheimer's too. And then tell your family, because we want to change everyone together and heal together, because we need change agents out there. Somebody's got to make the change, and why not you? Make it a powerful day. Thank you for stopping in to Health News and Views, Food, the Final Frontier. It's always, always a pleasure to have you. And remember to be a blessing to someone today. You know, those blessings, as I always say, come back, and oftentimes tenfold. Make it a powerful day. Peace.